We all know very well that service to the people always brings great joy. It gives us meaning and purpose. That is why Jesus says the one who wants to live has to die to himself. The Son of Man came not to serve, not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. So the way to find fullness of life requires that we must somehow always be at the service of God and for the community. And yet at the same time, there is always this danger that sometimes we tend to give lots of emphasis to the service that we do, to the work that we do. And this is true even for us priests, religious, for lay people. We focus too much on service rather than the love of God. Very often the orientation is diverted. Instead of serving to express our love for God, that kind of service becomes self-centered, inward-looking. Then we begin to reduce service in church to the community in very corporate terms, in terms of productivity, in terms of efficiency, in terms of results. We are too focused on these areas, and we are very worried when we do not have these KPIs, so to speak, to assure that we are doing the right thing. So, very often, even people who serve God and serve the church can end up being ambitious. It's about my pride, my ego, my status. It's about proving to people that we are doing very well. So, although everybody say they are serving God, but underneath that service, there's a lot of insecurity. There's a lot of need to feel needed and to feel that we are doing well. And that's why we become impatient, we become rude, and when people do not do the things that we expect them to do, we get angry. And this was the case, basically, of Peter and the apostles. Remember when Jesus was about to go to the Passion, they all say, we will die for you. We will sacrifice our life. We will fight for you. And they thought, of course, fighting for Jesus was to secure a political kingdom. They didn't expect Jesus to die. They expect Jesus actually to win the battle against the Romans. They were hoping to install him king so that these people can be his officials in the next, when the kingdom was established. When Jesus was taken up or arrested, they ran away. Because why should they stay if the master could not sustain the kingdom that they were expecting? They ran away. They didn't fight because they lost their ambition. But it was Jesus' passion and death that helped them really to come to understand that ministry is not about performance. Ministry is always an expression of our deep love for God, for our brothers and sisters, a deep trust in our Heavenly Father. So when Jesus died on the cross, he lost everything, so to speak. But it is because he lost everything that he gains everything. John 21, it begins, of course, with Jesus' appearance to the disciples who went fishing because they lost their, what we call, aspiration. They were supposed to be one on the left, one on the right. And then Jesus died, no left, no right. So they went back fishing, went back to the old trade. And again, the same thing happened. They went out, they were experienced fishermen, they caught nothing. Jesus wanted them to realize Without me, you can do nothing. That is what John 15, the vine, the branches, is all about. Without me, you can do nothing. And once again, they went fishing without Jesus. And so Jesus came and appeared to them and helped them to find the fish. Jesus was the one who pointed them out. Where can you find the fish? Again, a very important reminder. We can fish all we want. We can labor all we want. We can give our blood, our tears. But without Jesus' help, nothing will last. Not so much we working for God, but letting God work in and through us. That is what is of utmost importance. How available you are to the Lord for Him to make use of you. Just like Jesus was so available to His Father, even at death, the Father works in Jesus. And so after they caught the fish, Jesus says, come and have a meal with me. The Eucharist. Jesus knew that unless the disciples live in Him and He in them, again, in John chapter 6, they will do nothing. They can do nothing. The Eucharist, the presence of the bread and the fish, very important reminder of what the Eucharist is all about. But that is not enough, because there was one more thing that Jesus had to do. The apostles, and here we have Peter. He was a disgraced. He was the leader of the flock. Remember in Matthew chapter 16, you are Peter, on this rock I build my church. But this time, it's very significant, since in John's Gospel, Jesus never called Peter by that name. He says, Simon, son of John, back to the old name, because he's unfit. He has lost his leadership. There was the charcoal, there was a fire, all reminders of his denial of Jesus when he was on trial. And so after all this, he says, Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these others do? So Jesus felt it was necessary to restore St. Peter's credibility as a leader. That leader needs healing, because Peter could never forgive himself as a leader for denying Jesus. And how did Jesus heal Peter? Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these others? And now you look at Peter. Yes, Lord, you know I loved you. No more confident. That time I will die for you. But now he has been humbled. He realized that he was too sure of himself, too presumptuous, overconfident. I can do it. This time, no more. Say, you know I loved you. And we know very well that in the Greek version, although some dispute it, that the first two times when Jesus asked Peter, do you love me? He was using the word agape. You love me unconditionally. St. Peter never said, I love you unconditionally. He says, you know I love you. You know I love you as much as I can love you. That's it, finished. Don't ask me for more. And Jesus says, fit. The third time, when Jesus asked Peter, do you love me? This time, with a human love. It means love me the way you can love me. And Peter said, yes, I loved you. You know I loved you. So before a person can minister, I think this is very important. Before a person can minister, before Jesus can say to Simon Peter, feed my sheep, feed my lamb, you must first love him. Not love your work, not love your ministry, not love your talents. You love Jesus. We're here to serve Jesus. We're not here to boast about our talents or what we can do. We're here to love Jesus. Loving Jesus is prior to how we're going to use our talents for the service of others. Loving Jesus, by the way, is not your strength. It presupposes that Jesus has first loved you. So it's not to say, I loved you. Yes, I love you, but it's a response to the love of Jesus. And that is why, this is where St. Peter, being affirmed of Jesus' love, he finds the capacity now to love Jesus as much as he can love. So I think love cannot be measured. And love is always growing. This is where St. Peter, after being assured of Jesus' love, and Jesus said, follow me. And he followed Jesus. And of course, to the cross. And I think it's very important. Let us remind ourselves, if we are in ministry, do you love God first? Or do you love your work? If you love your work, it's more like an ambition. Although you may say you love God. But if you love God first, when you are graced by His love, when you are touched by His love, then you will serve out of compassion. Then you will serve because you love Jesus. Because ministry at the end of the day, it is not about achievement. Ministry at the end of the day is about loving people.